Hey everyone, Purpose Girl here. Just came off of my fall speaking tour and I really just wanted to stop and take some time to see about you. I'm exhausted, but I promised that I would be on every week. So here I am. And I'm actually really happy to be on because I wanted to share some of the things that God kind of just, downloaded on me while I was on my fall tour. The last video that I posted, I was in Georgia at a women's conference right from my hotel room. But my last stop was just this past weekend, and it was me going to my home church. And this kind of was the place that incubated me. This was, I think I was 3 years old when the church was founded, and my family, we were founding members. And it's just the first place that I had a lot of firsts there. This was the first place I preached a sermon on Children's Day. This was the first day that I performed a poem. The first place that I performed the poem was the first place that I wrote, directed, and produced a play. And so there were so many firsts that I had here. It was here that it was there that I would begin to understand that, well, not, maybe I didn't understand it then, but it was there that I had space to explore being a prayer warrior as a child. I kind of was that kid that was always like, oh, me, I'll pray. And as I look back over it and see who I am now, I always wanted to talk to the Lord. And so this place kind of gave me space and room to do all of that. And when I was about 17 years old, I wrote, directed, and produced a play. And I had, I reached out to all the young people that had kind of stopped going to church and, kind of invited them back and was like, come on back, be in this play, and it's going to be great. And they agreed, and we started rehearsing, and, the play was underway. And while it was going on, I guess it was too edgy or, too much. And so it was really shut down by one member in a really very dramatic way. Lights on, cut the mics off, and it was really kind of dramatic. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart, not because it was shut down, but because immediately the young people that it had been so hard to get back just took off. Like they were gone. They were, nowhere in sight. And I thought, maybe we can fix this. And unfortunately, it wasn't addressed and fixed. And I just kind of transitioned to another church where I thought, I could use my giftings and I could really express what God had put inside of me. And I guess I didn't realize how traumatic that was for me. But when I got the call that they wanted me to speak for homecoming, I wasn't angry. I wasn't, mad or annoyed. I had long since forgiven the incident, and I'd been back to my church, my home church, several times. I'd been back, but I'd never been back in the capacity where I had to offer my gifting again. And I've been preaching for years, teaching for years, public speaking for years now. But I've never gone back to offer my gifting in that space. And I want you to guess what emotion crept up and leapt up inside of me the moment I listened to the voicemail that they wanted me to speak. It wasn't anger, it wasn't hurt. The emotion that crept up, you guessed it, it was fear. What if they don't receive me? I wonder how they'll receive me. I wonder if, they're ready for my brand of ministry. Will it be too much? Will it get shut down again? And in that moment, I realized, wow, that was a really traumatic happening in my life. And that may be the reason why I struggle with, or why I have struggled with doing ministry in the way God poured it into me. Unorthodox, quirky, crazy, a little bit strange. And I don't know if that's what's at the root of it, but I know that for many years now, I've always wondered, what if they don't receive me? I wonder if, I'll be well received with this. I wonder if this is too out there. I wonder if, I should do this object lesson. Is it too crazy? Is it too messy? Is it too me? And, my brother said something to me, must have been about 17 years ago now, that really kind of has been it was really the start of my freedom. And God has been layering piece on piece on piece about how to be free to just be me and to express myself in the way that I feel comfortable. But it started with this one comment that my brother made to me. I'll never forget it. I had moved back from Massachusetts to New York City, and I grew up in New York City. And for college, I was living in Massachusetts. And when I began to hear the Holy Spirit leading me to move back to New York, I was so distraught. I went into like a mild depression, because I was going to be obedient, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. But I was going to be obedient. And so I kind of just fell into like a mild depression. I was really very unhappy. And I moved back to New York and I was still very unhappy. And just thought, man, what am I doing here again? I don't want to be back here. I want to be somewhere else. And I remember my brother saying to me, why? Why are you so unhappy here? All your friends are here that you grew up with. Your family is here. Your career as a teacher, that can happen here. What does being in New York, how does that take anything away from you? Why are you so unhappy here? And we drilled down in that conversation, and what we found is that, and I'll never forget it, when I said it, it just was so true when I said it. I realized that I didn't want to come back to New York because I had grown so much while I was in Massachusetts. And I was worried that all of the people who knew me one way, the way I was before I moved to Massachusetts, wouldn't like me anymore, and essentially wouldn't love me anymore because I had changed and I wasn't, maybe the person that they knew. And my brother said these words to me, and it really set me free. And I just want to share it because I think, I hope that it'll set you free too, from fear of being you and embracing all that you are. He said, if people love you, then even when you change, they will love you. And those who don't love you anymore after you've changed, maybe they never really loved you to begin with. And then does it really matter what they think? And that one series of comments, it set me free. It set me free from loving a guy who didn't love me. It set me free from depression over where I was. And I didn't realize that the depression wasn't where I was. It was that I felt like I had to go backwards in my growth process and go back to being that knuckleheaded teenage girl that everyone knew. And that wasn't who I was anymore. And I did not want to be that way anymore. And it was in that moment that I realized many of us are depressed because we cannot fully express who we are. And we're pretending to be things that we're not. At that time in my life, I was a chameleon. And so the other thing my brother said to me is, you know what? When I go out with you, I'm like, man, you're a whole different person. And that was because if someone had met me and I was funny, then I felt like I had to be funny at all times. Making jokes and, being funny the whole time. If someone had met me and I was super deep and intellectual or spiritually deep, then I always had to be super intellectual and spiritually deep whenever I saw them. And just whatever it was, however somebody had met me, if they really, really liked me, then I felt like every time they saw me, that's who and how I had to be. And so I would reject pieces of myself. I would just reject parts of myself just so that whatever that person liked about me, that's what would come out. And when I changed and grew. I didn't want to reject pieces of myself anymore. I wanted to be me in all my glory, complicated and funny and serious and spiritual and fallible and clumsy and quirky and strange. It's all me, and I get to be that way. I get to embrace every part of me, and I don't have to reject any part because, someone may or may not like another part. And the other thing that I realized is that when I am authentically me, people actually get to know me rather than just a small piece of me. And that makes room for deep, abiding relationships, deep, trusting relationships. And so I just wanted to encourage you. Embrace every single part of you and reject the fear that someone won't receive you. Because when people love you, they love you and they embrace you, not just certain parts of you and reject other parts of you. No, when people love you, they embrace you. And there may be things about you that they don't like. I hate that my husband's a procrastinator, but I still love him fiercely, madly, deeply, like a riot in the heart with nothing to be done. And so when people love you, they know you have faults. They know you're not all good or all bad or all funny or all serious or all spiritual or all apostate. They know that people are a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And they just love you for who you are. And the people who don't, the people who reject you, that's okay. Because I would rather someone reject me than live my life in the prison of trying to be something that I'm not for people who actually don't really love me, just love aspects about me or the thought of me. I'm messy. I'm complex. I'm a lot of little things. And I like it. And I want to encourage you. God likes it too. Psalm 139:14, he says, I put you together. I knit you before you were even, Jeremiah 1:5 says, before you were even in your mother's womb, I knew you. I called you by name. And 139:14 says, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And there's nothing about you that you can hide from him. And he loves us fiercely, madly, deeply, like a riot in his heart with nothing to be done. He loves us so much that he's dying, literally. Jesus died on the cross just to get next to us, just to spend eternity with us. And so I just want to encourage you. He loves you so much. And he's going to send people in your life who will love you, mess and all, quirks and all, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, all of it. And so embrace you and know that the people who embrace you too are your people. They are your people. And the people who don't embrace you, they're not your people. And that's okay. Because it's always best to be able to be yourself. And so I want to encourage you. God loves you. Now you love you. And so from Purpose Girl to you, girl, you already are free. Now stay free.